Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining. Let's get started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtiprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamaham Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswate Devi Kauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shubhavadi Paschatya Deshidari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Guruve Gaura Chandrai, Radhikaya Tadalai, Krishna Krishna Bhaktaya, Tat Bhaktaya Namo, Gam Karoti Vachalam, Pangam Mangai Devi, Yat Kripahatam Ham Vande, Shri Guru Dinatarini, Paramananda Madhavam, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri. My humble obeisances to each and every one of you. Vancha Kalpataram Pesti, Prapasam Dubhayegacha, Patitanam Bhavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय assembled Vaishnavas की जय. Okay, dear devotees, thank you once again. So we will continue with our Srimad Bhagavatam study, and this is our chaturshloki that we are doing it. And in this chaturshloki, we will be covering the last verse about answering Lord Brahma's question. So we saw that how Lord Brahma, he asked 4 questions from Lord Krishna. When he was meditating, he did tapa, he heard the word tapa, and then he started meditating, executing the orders as he received. The Supreme Lord was very pleased, and therefore he gave his darshan, and he also put his hand on Lord Brahma and revealed all the spiritual planets. And Brahma was enlightened, seeing the Supreme Lord face to face in Vaikuntha, along with Lakshmi Devi and all the energies and the inhabitants of Vaikuntha. And then Supreme Lord said that still, O Brahma, do you have any question? I'm very much satisfied. Please ask for any benedictions. Actually, the Supreme Lord said that darshan of my abode is the perfection, the highest perfection one can think of. But still, if you want any benediction, please go ahead. Then Brahmaji said, "But, O Supreme Lord, you know everything, but still I want to ask those 4 questions." And those 4 questions were about the Lord's form, how the Lord manifests his spiritual and the material form. Then he asked about the Lord's energies. What are his spiritual energies, his material energies, how they are working. Then he asked about the Lord's activities, that how the Lord interact with material and the spiritual energies and carried out any activities. That we have already covered. And finally, he asked about the mercy. He said that please help me so that I can execute your orders, bestow your causeless mercy on me. But at the same time, I want to know the process by which whatever I do, I may not get puffed up with a false ego, thinking that I am the doer. So these were the 4 questions. And the Lord said in verse number 31, okay, let me share my screen. Yeah. So this is 36. I have to go back. In text number 31, the Supreme Lord started answering Brahmaji's question. But before answering 33 onwards, he says, Jnanam paramaguhyam me tat yat vijnanam samapyatam sahas sarahasyam tadangam cha grena gariditam maya. That, O Brahmaji, I will be speaking on these topics. But what I'll be speaking, you have asked me a few questions. And now these questions I will be speaking. Jnanam. I will be speaking about the most confidential secret about my form. This is the form that you have asked me about my form. I will be speaking on that most confidential knowledge, that what is my form. And then I will also, in text 2, in chaturshloki 2, I'll be answering about the Vigyan aspect. You have to realize that form means you have to know about my energies also. So these two, he said, Jnanam Paramaguhyam, it's Paramaguhyam, and that I will reveal it to you. And not only just Jnanam, Yad Vijnanam, I will also give you the realization. So with Jnana and Vigyan, when Krishna said that I will give you, that comprehend the Sambandha aspect of the Supreme Lord. To know about the Supreme Lord, forms and his energies, how he is maintaining the spiritual world as well as the material world. So the Lord said that, O Brahma, I will tell you about the Jnana as well as Vijnana. So that we have already covered in text 33 and 34, which comprises the 2 chaturshloki Bhagavatam. Then he said that I will tell you about Sarahasyam. I will also give you this Rahasya. What is that Rahasya? Sarahasya. Along with that Rahasya, by which a living entity can come back to me, to my abode. And that is what is Prema Bhakti. That also we have discussed in the previous verse. But now comes that what is the process? So Gyan and Vigyan is to develop that Sambandha Gyan with the Supreme Lord. Sarahasyam comprises of Prema Bhakti. What is the ultimate destination? After developing that Sambandha with the Supreme Lord. So that ultimate destination, that Rahasya, is what is known as our Prayojana. So Sambandha and then Prayojana. But then what is the process by which, after developing that Sambandha and knowing that Prayojana, one performs to achieve that destination? That is Tadangam. Tadangam refers to the process. And that process is what we will be discussing in this 4th chaturshloki, where Krishna will be telling that it is only through sadhana bhakti that one can achieve Krishna. So Tadangam refers to what are the necessary steps that one should take to develop to know that sambandha as well as to achieve one's prayojana. So this refers to the abhidaya aspect. So this chaturshloki deals with three: sambandha, abhidaya, and prayojana. So in sambandha, it's not just the information, but it's the realized knowledge. So it is Gyan and Vigyan together. And in Prayojana, one should know one's destination. Without knowing that destination, no, it's useless. We should know the goal where we are heading to. And finally comes our process by which we can achieve that goal. And that is through sadhana bhakti. So remember what Brahmaji also asked in the fourth thing, that please bestow me your mercy so that when I carry out your orders, I may not get puffed up. I may not get puffed up. So I may not develop that false ego. I should do it as an instrument serving your mission. As a nimitta matra, I should develop that attitude. Without pride and bondage, I should continue to fulfill your instructions. So, what is that process through which one doesn't develop false ego? And that is through sadhana bhakti. When one performs certain rules and regulations. So, this is the fourth verse that we will be covering, which will be the chaturshloki of chaturshloki, right? With this verse, we end the chaturshloki Srimad Bhagavatam. एतावत् एव जिज्ञासं तत्त्वजिज्ञास आत्मना अन्वयाव्यतिरेकाभ्यं यत् स्यात् सर्वथा सर्वदा. So here, Lord Krishna is telling to Brahmaji, Etavat eva jignasam, a person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth. Etavat, up till this point, means when one has developed that sambandha gyan, as well as one knows one's prayojana, one's final destination, that is prema, or achieving the Supreme Lord's abode. Eva, up till now, whatever you have known, the sambandha tattva and the prayojana tattva, then the person starts searching for the supreme absolute truth. Tattva jignasu atmanaha. And that is which is achieved. How you achieved that prayojana? Because in the previous verse, he talks about the prayojana tattva. So he says, tattva jignasa atmanaha. You search it, and up to this point you come, when you determined that by performing certain activity, you will achieve certain results. You search it up to tattva jignasu atmana. You must certainly search for it. Search for that tattva. And you should have that jignasa. You should have that inquisitiveness to know the path that can lead you to the final destination. And for that, Krishna is saying, Anvaya. Anvaya refers to doing certain activity directly to obtain certain results. So this is Anvaya. And Vyatirekabhyam. And by the lack of results. Vyatireka means to indirectly, as Prabhupada says. Indirectly. So this basically refers to, Anvaya refers to do's. You do this and you will achieve this. Vyatirekabhyam means you don't do this and still you reach this. Example, when we go to the doctor and doctor tells us, these are the do's and these are the don'ts. Both you have to follow in order to become healthy. So if you want to achieve that highest destination, that prayojana, that prema bhakti, there are certain direct process and indirect process. Direct processes are those that really gives you the positive results when you work on certain things. And व्यतिरेकाभ्याम means something that you have, जिसका निषेध करना है, means you don't have to follow. And then your results will be the same, that is prema bhakti. So Vyatirekabhyam refers to the regulations that we follow. And in which process this do's and don'ts have to be followed, that is what is sadhana bhakti. Yet syat, when somebody does, which will be performed. So all these anvaya and Vyatirekabhyam, you have to perform. This is performance to achieve best results. This is non-performance of certain regulations by which you achieve that highest destination. Then all these do's and don'ts, when you have to perform, yat syat, until then, sarvatra sarvada, we have to perform in all space and time, sarvatra, in all space and time, sarvada, and in all circumstances. So you have to perform this sadhana bhakti in all circumstances, in all space and time, till the time you don't achieve your destination, that is prema bhakti. Okay. This is the plain meaning of the words. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. A person who's searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is what our Srila Jiva Goswami comments, that any performance of activity and non-performance of certain activity, it leads to sadhana bhakti. Because in sadhana bhakti only, when one performs Vaidhi sadhana bhakti or Raganuga sadhana bhakti, they both are in sadhana bhakti only. So when one performs at certain sadhana bhakti, of course, there are certain rules and regulations, and both have to be followed in order to achieve the prema bhakti, the final goal. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his very beautiful book, Bhajan Rahasya, also explains the circumstances that are favorable for bhakti. So he says that there are two ways by which you can achieve your goal, or you can get free from the anarthas. One is directly, that is anvaya, by following certain rules, that is do's, and another is vyatireka, that is indirect process, by following the regulations or don'ts. But both are required. It's not that you work on one and then you forget another. No, both are required in order to follow this process, and that is sadhana. Prabhupada has written a very big purport to it, but definitely we will go through, because these are the important verses and we'll go slow. So today we'll cover only one verse, but we will go in detail about what Prabhupada is telling about sadhana bhakti. So this is all now, think that we are all talking about sadhana bhakti only. Because through this bhakti only, our Brahmaji will get an answer. That it's only through the process of sadhana bhakti one can overcome the bondage, pride, and lethargy. Because Brahma was afraid that tomorrow, if I carry out your instructions, I may come to a point where I may start thinking myself that I am the doer. And with that, I might get some false ego or I may become puffed up. So I don't need all that. And I want to get rid of all those things. So, what is the process? How I can carry out your instructions at the same time should not develop that false ego. So, in answer to that, Krishna speaks about the sadhana bhakti. That, oh Brahma, it's only through bhakti you will be able to overcome all the false ego and bondage that you have. So, this verse will be talking about the abhidheya aspect, the process by which we can achieve the prayojana, the ultimate destination. Prabhupada writes in the book, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. To unfold the mystery of Bhakti Yoga, as it is explained in the previous verse, is the ultimate stage of all inquiries or the highest objective for the inquisitive. Okay? Everyone is searching after self-realization. Everyone is after self-realization. And it can be achieved by various ways, through karma, through jnana, through dhyana, through bhakti, etc. But to engage in self-realization is the responsibility of every living entity developed in consciousness. And one who is developed in consciousness certainly makes inquiries into the mystery of the self, the cosmic situations, the problems of life in all spheres and fields. So this is what if somebody is inquisitive about one's goal, then to get that goal, to achieve that prayojana, one has to accept certain process. So if that prayojan is not prema bhakti, that prayojan is to go back to the spiritual world, to become self-realized, atma sakshatkar ho jana, means to realize that I am part and parcel of the Supreme Love. So that can be achieved through various ways, through karma, through jnana, through dhyana, many ways to it. But ultimately, the point is that if we are conscious living beings, we are human beings, which is a very rarest of the birth we can get. At that time, it is our duty that we should do such certain inquiries. Such inquiries are important for the human being to progress in spiritual life. Otherwise, they will always be drowned in the material life and working hard just for sense gratification. And that will lead nowhere. It will lead further bondage. And maybe the next life may not be the human life. Who knows? So, if that next life is not a human life, then again it's an evolution process by which one goes from one species to another. And this cycle goes on and on and on and on. ब्रह्मांडे भ्रमिते कौन भाग्यवान जीवन गुरु कृष्ण प्रसाद पाए भक्ति लता पीज. So unnecessary we will be wandering in this 14 planetary system. But then one has to inquire. And that inquiry is only possible when one has in the human consciousness. And what are that inquiry? That inquiry is into the mystery of the self. Who am I? Who is Krishna? What is my relationship with Krishna? What should be my activities that I should perform so that I can strengthen that relationship with Krishna? So, who is Krishna? Who am I? This is all talking about Sambandha Gyan. What is my destination? Where I am heading to, where I should head to? That is Prayojana. And what are my activities that I should perform so that I can develop that relationship? I can maintain that relationship and I can achieve that destination is what is Abhideya, the process. So one should inquire. Such inquiries are helpful in our spiritual growth. One should inquire. The Vedanta Sutra, okay, but here the goal of all such inquiries is being explained. So we talked about this Tadangam. Tadangam refers to our sadhana bhakti or abhidaya process. The Vedanta Sutra philosophy begins with this inquiry about life. What is that? Adato Brahma Jignasa. That is the Vedanta Sutra philosophy begins. The first sutra of Vedanta. Vedanta means where the Vedas end. वेदास का अंत होता है तो वेदांत का शुरू होता है तो दैट इज वेदांत द फर्स्ट सूत्र इज अथतो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा and the Bhagavatam answers such inquiries up to this point or the mystery of all the inquiries. Lord Brahma wanted to be perfectly educated by the personality of Godhead, and here in the answer by the Lord, he finished in the 4 nutshell verses from Aham Eva to this verse Etavat Eva. Aham eva means I am everything. I was there before cosmic manifestation. I am there during cosmic manifestation, and I'll be the only one after annihilation. And etavad eva means coming to this point to know when you have developed that sambandha and you know that prayojana, then what is your duty by which you can attain this process. This is the end of all self-realization process. Men do not know what is the ultimate goal of life or the supreme personality of Godhead. Men do not know that the ultimate goal of life is to achieve the supreme personality of Godhead. Rather, they are bewildered in the mode of ignorance and they are driven into the darkest region of material existence, driven by uncontrolled senses. So the whole material existence has sprung up because of sense gratification. So we have talked about this also when Krishna was talking about Maya, about his energies in the second verse, that why this material world has to come up. So this material existence is like a prison house that has come up to satisfy the desire of the jiva. That jiva who has desired to enjoy separately from Krishna. To fulfill his desires, this material existence is made so that Jiva can fulfill his desires, and those desires may be principally be based on sex desire. And the result is that, in spite of all advancement of knowledge, the final goal of all activities of the living entities is sense gratification. But here is the real goal of life. The real goal of life is not sense gratification. But the real goal of life is to should inquire. Inquire about one's own existence. Who am I? Who is Krishna? What is my relationship with the Supreme Lord? And those inquiries should be put before a bona fide spiritual master who is expert in the science of Bhakti Yoga. So yes, Srimad Bhagavatam gives all the answers, but the ultimate objective of life is not to be searched out without great labor or perseverance. You should put in some labor. One who is imbued with such sincere inquiries must ask a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession from Brahmaji, and that is the direction given here. Because the mystery was disclosed before Brahmaji by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the mystery of such inquiries regarding self-realization must be put before a spiritual master who is the direct representative of the Lord, acknowledged in or that disciplic succession. So here Srila Prabhupada is saying that yes, those inquiries are important, but one should not search the answers for those inquiries on one's own. With one's own effort, we may land up into some different directions. So rather, analyzing the situation by one's own self through Pratyaksha and Anuman, the best is the Shabda Praman. That go and approach to a bona fide spiritual master, that Tattva Darshina, who knows this Tattva in full. Once we approach those spiritual masters, those who are direct representative of the Supreme Lord, and we put forward our inquiries, then the spiritual master enlighten us. How? Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. That Divya Gyan, the transcendental knowledge for which one is searching, that will be revealed in the heart of that sincere disciple. The disciple doesn't have to put on much effort. Of course, some effort is needed. And that effort is to approach a bona fide spiritual master and ask these inquiries about one's own self. Not the inquiries about how should I lead my life. No, there are so many problems. How I can get rid of this problem? How can I get rid of that problem? The spiritual master is the master who deals in the spiritual problems, not the material problems. So, such a bona fide spiritual master is revealed in the scripture to be the direct representative of the Supreme Lord. So, Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastra. That verse we know from गुरुवाष्टकम् उत्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव साध्वी किंतु प्रभोर्य प्रिय एव तस्य वंदे गुरु श्री चरणारविंद. So that spiritual master who is Sakshat Hari, who is non-different from Lord Shri Krishna, because he is the representative of the Supreme Lord. But the spiritual master never claims himself to be the Lord. Kintu Prabhorya Priya Eva Tasya. He is very dear to the Lord, but he doesn't proclaim himself to be God. That is the qualification of a bona fide spiritual master. That spiritual master doesn't claim himself, though he is non-different. Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastra. All the Shastras, they also say that the spiritual master is non-different from the Supreme Lord. But on the part, this is for the disciple, but on the part of the spiritual master, he himself will never think that I am equal to the Lord. Never claims himself to be the Lord. Lord by his personally realized experience. He can deliver the Lord by his personalized experience. The Lord is not to be found simply by education or by good fertile brain, but surely he can be found by the sincere student through the transparent via medium of a bona fide spiritual master. And how is it possible? Through one's Hridaya. Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashita. The transcendental knowledge will be illuminated in the heart of the disciple by the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master. And what is this? Through transparent medium, because the spiritual master is the transparent medium. The spiritual master will not change the meaning or will not change the Vedas, will not interpret the Vedas as one's own understanding. That spiritual master will not do. The spiritual master will reveal everything as it is. The example is given just like there is an object in the sky and that object is very far away. Because someone can say, why I need a spiritual master? The equation should be between me and Krishna. I want to know about Krishna and Krishna will reveal about him to me. Neither we are so pure, neither Krishna is so free that Krishna will come and give that knowledge about himself to us. Some sincere efforts are needed, some endeavor has to be put in, like Brahmaji has put in some efforts. So if we need to find something, some object, some celestial object which is far away, then we use an instrument which is known as telescope. And in that telescope, we add lens after lens after lens. And through the lenses, which is the transparent via medium, we are able to see any celestial object, any object which is there in the space. Through the medium of that telescope, which has the layers of lenses, those lenses are transparent. Imagine if one lens is opaque, there is a complete blockage. we will not be able to see the object, and the purpose of the telescope will fail. So, therefore, the spiritual master or our disciplic succession or the parampara we are in are those series of lenses that are there in that telescope. If one of the lenses is opaque, the chain is broken because then the message is not revealed or not conveyed as it is. So it has to be a transparent via media. All the lenses have to be clean and should be transparent so that one lens can enlighten another lens, can do this, and this way, the closest lens we have, through that lens, we are able to see. And that is what our direct parampara or the spiritual master is. So he has through the transparent medium of the bona fide spiritual master. That's what it means. Now, it says that the revealed scriptures give directions directly to this end. But because the bewildered living entities are blinded by the glaring reflection in the darkness, they are unable to find the truth of the revealed scriptures. For example, Prabhupada is giving the example in Bhagavad Gita. The whole direction is targeted toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But for want of a bona fide spiritual master in the line of Brahmaji or the direct hearer Arjuna, there are different distortions of the revealed knowledge by many unauthorized persons who just want to satisfy their own whims. Undoubtedly, the Bhagavad Gita is accepted as one of the most brilliant stars in the horizon of the spiritual sky. Yet the interpretations of this great book of knowledge have so grossly been distorted that every student of Bhagavad Gita is not enlightened, is still in the same darkness of glaring material reflections. Such students are hardly enlightened by Bhagavad Gita. So, yes, Bhagavad Gita is the song of God. The Supreme Lord Krishna spoke this song to Arjuna, sang this song rather to Arjuna, and revealed all knowledge that is to be needed. But the question comes then, why just by studying Bhagavad Gita one is not enlightened? Because it depends upon the Bhagavad Gita that we are reading. We are not reading the direct verses. If we are reading the direct verses and we have that knowledge and we can know that what Krishna is saying, well and good. But there are so many interpretations of Bhagavad Gita where the purports or the realizations are being shared. But those realizations are not aligned with the Shastras. They are by their own whims. They want to satisfy their own thought process. And therefore, they write the purports or the commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. But there, Prabhupada normally says that those who are themselves not self-realized, what kind of interpretations they will bring out from those verses of Bhagavad Gita. Definitely, those realizations will not come out. The true realizations won't come out because they themselves are not enlightened. And how can they enlighten their student, the person who is approaching to that Bhagavad Gita? Therefore, when Prabhupada wrote the purports of the Bhagavad Gita, he first of all named Bhagavad Gita as it is. Means that without any distortion, he is bringing out the hidden mood of Krishna. Sometimes people, they do debate that those who are very scholar in Sanskrit, some verses they say that Prabhupada has not done the Anvaya properly. Means that he has not done the translation as it is what is there in that verse. Maybe the translation, maybe the word to word meaning be the same, but the translation that Prabhupada writes is not aligned to the verse. He has brought in the aspect of bhakti. So to answer this, that yes, Prabhupada has not done the anuvad of Bhagavad Gita, means the direct meaning, but he has given the bhavanuvad. He has put his own realizations in it because he knows what Krishna wants to say. Therefore, Prabhupada also says that yes, Even if you pick up the first chapter, second chapter, 10th chapter, 8th chapter, whatever chapter in whatever purport you want to open, the message of bhakti should be given to the student. That bhakti is only the process. Therefore, he says that I have brought in this aspect of bhakti so that those who claim that they don't have time to read Bhagavad Gita, maybe they can open Bhagavad Gita randomly to some page, but they should get this message. So, this is what as revealing the knowledge as per time, place, and circumstances. Desha kala parasthiti ke anusar. People these days, Kali Yuga people, they are quarrelsome, they are lazy, they are disturbed, right? They don't have enough time to study Bhagavad Gita from cover to cover, from page to page, word to word. Not everyone is interested into it. But still, Srila Prabhupada wants to touch upon those people also. That even if you don't have time and you open any page of Bhagavad Gita, you should get the message of sadhana bhakti. You should get the message that bhakti is the supreme. You should get this message that only through this process you can know the supreme Lord Krishna. So he wants to make sure. Therefore, he brought in this bhakti aspect practically in every purport, in every purport of every verse that Prabhupada has written. So this is his Bhavanuvad. And therefore, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita has become so popular that it's only through Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita the maximum devotees were made. Lot of people were changed, were transformed into devotees. Before that, there was not much. People were studying Bhagavad Gita, but were not grasping the essence of Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna is the supreme. Even after studying Bhagavad Gita, they were approaching many demigods and they were into demigod worship. Vyavasatmika buddhi rekahi kuru nandana. That mood was still not developed by those people because the realizations were distorted. They were not properly channeled because the person who were writing the purports to those Bhagavad Gita themselves were not realized. So that's why Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita has become the most famous as well as the most, you can say, by which one can be transformed into a devotee. So such students are highly enlightened by Bhagavad Gita. So it's not the fault of Bhagavad Gita. It's those who are writing the interpretations or the commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. In the Gita, practically the same instruction is imparted as in the 4 prime verses of the Bhagavatam. That is chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. But due to wrong and fashionable interpretations by unauthorized person, one cannot reach the ultimate conclusion. Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridishya arjuna tishtati. So Krishna says that I am the one who is situated in the heart of every living entity and I am controlling them through my material world, in this material world, through the agency of my Bahiranga Shakti. Yantrarudhani Mayaya. I am able to control that living entity through the agency of my Mahamaya, my external energy. But even after understanding this verse itself gives so much knowledge. Now, if you reflect on this verse, you will get to know that first of all, Krishna is not far away. He is situated as Paramatma in the heart. And secondly, Brahmam Sarva Bhutani, Brahm ke karan, under illusion, we are running after something which does not belong to our original constitutional position. So all the living entities, they are wandering in this machine, and that machine which is also working under the Supreme Lord's energy only. So even on this machine, we do not have that adhikar. We do not have that control over that machine. That machine itself is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord through the agency of his Mahamaya. So he is the supreme controller. If we realize this, then we can know that what is there in our hand. It's actually Krishna who is driving everything. He is the cause of all causes. So one should come to that understanding that we are 100% controlled by the Lord. So with this verse only, the so great knowledge can be revealed. But even after studying, this is just one example Prabhupada is giving. There are so many such verses. When we come to that realization and read those verses now, after reading Srila Prabhupada's purport, we'll get to know that Bhagavad Gita itself is a complete book by which we can understand the highest knowledge and we become self-realized. But how much are we churning those verses under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master? We are not doing it. The more we do it, the more that knowledge will be revealed to us. And in the same Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is giving another example. The Lord Himself gives the solution, gives this process of sadhana bhakti, that through this process you will reach me. And what is that process? Manmanama bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vishyasi satyam te pratijano priyasmi. That you will do all this process, worship me, pay obeisances to me, get absorbed, let your mind get absorbed in me. Then by doing so, undoubtedly, Mahame Vashyasi Satyam Te, this is the only truth, that you will go home back to God and you will achieve Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is enough to enlighten. But we are not getting enlightened because we are not studying it under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, this Bhagavad Gita is not revealing. This is the most confidential knowledge, right? Krishna says, Guhya Taram. Not Guhya, not Guhya Tamam, but Guhyam Tara. Not Tara, but Tamam means on the superlative degree, this is confidential. Now, why this is confidential? Because even if it is available everywhere, it is available in the market, it's available on the internet, but still to understand the Gud Rahasya, the confidentiality in this Bhagavad Gita, we need someone who can enlighten us. And that someone is actually the spiritual master. Indirectly, it is said that the whole Vedic social construction of human society is so that everyone acts as a part and parcel of that complete body of the Lord. So yes, the Supreme Lord's body is what is the four systems. Brahmanas, which are considered to be the face of the Lord. Kshatriyas, which are considered to be the arms of the Lord. Vaishyas, which are considered to be the waist or the belt of the Lord. And the Shudras, which are situated on the legs of the Lord. So, this social construction, what we see, they are all parts of the body of the Supreme Lord only. So all these, whether somebody is in the Brahmana, Kshatriya or the Vaishya, Shudra, they are meant to serve the Lord's body cooperatively. Otherwise, the parts will become unfit to be coordinated with the Supreme Consciousness. So if this finger starts thinking that, no, I have to be on my own, then this finger will not be working cooperatively for the body. The hands start thinking, though, I have to do my own. Legs start thinking, I have to do my own. The stomach start thinking, I have to do my own. That's not how the cooperation works. If you have to feed the body, if you have to feed the stomach, then all the limbs have to work conjointly, cooperatively, so that body can be nourished properly. Similarly, don't argue on this that, oh, you are a Brahmana, you are a Kshatriya, you are a Shudra, you are a Vaishya. No matter whatever category we belong to, ultimate aim is to serve the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Prabhupada says our constitutional position of every jiva is, no matter that jiva where he lies in, but his constitutional position is Nityadas, that he is Krishnera Nityadas, that he is the servant of the Supreme Lord and he should work accordingly, considering himself to be the servant and Lord to be the master, not himself to be the master. But those who do not follow this, then Prabhupada says, Namam dushkritno mudha, prapadyante naradhama, maya pratihirta jnana, asuram bhavamashruta. So those dushkritinos who do not have enough piety that they can understand me, they are mudhas, they are foolish, they are naradhama, they are the lowest of all men. And because of that, and they are miscreants, Maya praharta jnana means they are always under the control of Maya, my external energy. They don't want to come out of it. And therefore, asurim bhavam ashrita. They take ashraya, they take shelter of asuri bhav. Asuri bhav means faithless, non-believers. Those who are faithless, they are asura bhav. They have the demoniac mentality. They develop this demonic mentality. Why? Because they're the greatest fool. They don't want to know about me. Therefore, all advancement of knowledge in the present context of things is being misused by cats and dogs fighting with one another for sense gratification. So, what is the use? We are unnecessary fighting and not keeping Krishna in the center of our life and not working cooperatively to fulfill the mission of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says again and again that without attainment of the status of Bhakti Yoga, all the activities of human society are considered to be the absolute failure. So the point is that we have to develop this thing, we have to develop this understanding that we have to work for the Supreme Lord. If we are not doing it, if we are totally engaged, fighting with each other for sense gratification, for all acquisition of knowledge in science, philosophy, fine arts, nationalism, economic development, religion, these are all isms that we are in. We are spoiled by used as dresses for the dead man. So all this is what? These are the ornaments of a dead man. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Japastata Apraneshwa Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjana. Anybody who is devoid of Bhagavad Bhakti, he may be a great personality, he may have a high parentage, may have taken birth in a great family, may have the knowledge of all the scriptures, Shastram knowledge he has. He is very good in japa, in performance of austerities, and tapaha, in the performance of penance and chanting the Vedic mantras. But all these are just like an ornaments on the dead body. So if you decorate the dead body with all the ornaments, what it is simply to serve the pleasure of the general populace. Mandanam Lokaranjani. So this is all the ornaments of the dead body where you are giving pleasure not to the jiva, but to the people in general. So what is the use? So Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya, if somebody is devoid of bhakti. Therefore, Bhagavatam is proclaiming that one should start Bhakti Yoga, because without attainment of the status of Bhakti Yoga, everything is an absolute failure. Prabhupada writes this beautiful verse, Prabhavastavat abhoda jato, yavanna jijnasa atma tattvam, yavat kriyastavat idam manovai, karmatakam yena sharira bandha. Like generally people think that, oh, let me act in a pious way, so I'll be relieved from all kind of misery. Well, Bhagavatam says that no. Prabhavas tavad abodha jato yavanna jigyasa atmavam. If you have developed some human consciousness and you don't work for the Supreme Lord, Atma Tattvam, you don't inquire about the Supreme Lord, and Yavat Kriyas Tavadidam, whatever you do, even though you are engaged in pious activity, it is defeated. Because the human consciousness aim should be that somehow to get out of the clutches of Maya. But with all these activities, when one think that, okay, let me earn some piety, let me do some good to others, they forget that to use that piety also, they have to come back to this material world. And they don't know whether they'll get a human life or not. To incur piety, the results of their good activities, they may be can born as a dog in the house of a president of United States. Definitely that dog will have all the luxury than a normal common man, but still he's a dog. Even though he may be uh, traveling in Rolls Royce, or he may have his own salon, or he may have his own, servants to take care, but still he's a dog. He's enjoying all the luxury of this material world, but still he's a dog. Similarly, don't think that just acting piously will relieve you from all janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi. That is not possible. Because if we are engaged in bias activity, the purpose is still defeated. It's still an absolute failure because we will be back in this material world. As long as one is blind to inquiring about self realization, all material activities, however they may be, they are all different kinds of defeat because the aim of human life is not fulfilled by such unwanted, profitless activities. The function of the human body is to attain freedom from the material bondage. That should be the aim. But as long as one is fully absorbed in the material activities, his mind will be overwhelmed in the whirlpool of matter, and thus he will continue to be engaged in material bodies life after life. This is what is Sharira Bandha. We will not get out of this bondage. And on the other hand, Eva Mana Krish Karma Vasham Prakunte, this verse, the next verse. If it is one's mind that generates different kinds of bodies for suffering different kinds of material pangs. Therefore, as long as the mind is absorbed in fruitive activities and the mind is understood to be absorbed in nescience, then one is sure to be subjected to material bondage. Na munchate deha yoga tavat. We cannot come out, we cannot be liberated from this deha because the mind is still absorbed in sense gratificatory objects, and therefore this material bondage in different bodies again and again we will come until one develops a transcendental love for the supreme lord Vasudeva. This engagement in different material bodies will not go away. Now in this verse we have seen it says that yes, you have to follow some do's, you have to follow some don'ts, but how? Yat syat sarvatra sarvada, in all circumstances, in all phases of one's life. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada says, Srila Jiva Goswami therefore comments on the word sarvatra sarvada, in the sense that the principles of bhakti yoga or devotional service to the Lord are apt in all circumstances. No matter in whatever circumstances you are, you can perform this bhakti yoga. And it is recommended in all the revealed scriptures. It is performed by all the authorities. It is important in all places and it is useful in all causes and effects. Then Prabhupada quotes about Skanda Puran. Samsarasmin mahaghore janma mrityu samakule pujanam vasudevasya tarakam vadibi smritam. That this samsara is mahaghor. This is full of danger, darkness. It is the ocean which is full of sharks and whales which are ready to attack you. And how? Janma mrityu samakule. It is combined with janma and mrityu, birth and death. Pujanam Vasudevasya. But the only way, Tarakam Vadibi Smritam. If you want to come out, tar karna hai, you have to come out or you have to cross over this material existence, then only way is Pujanam Vasudevasya. Only way to get out is to accept the loving transcendental devotional service unto Lord Vasudeva, to remember him. And then he quotes from Skanda Puran, Linga Puran, this verse is mentioned. Alodya sarva shastrani vicharya cha puna puna idam ekam sunishpannam dheyo narayana sada, that one should always worship Narayana, and this is revealed in all the scriptures. Then he is quoting from Garud Puran. So Prabhupada is saying, see, I'm also not saying by my own whims. I'm quoting Shastra after Shastra to say that it's only through this process of devotional service one can, by this process of Bhakti Yoga, one can achieve the Supreme Lord. Param gatopi vedanam sarva shastrartha vedi vedapi yona sarveshvara bhaktas tam vidyat purushadhamam. Even if param gatim cha vedanam, somebody has crossed all the limits of the revealed scriptures, means they are very well versed, but not just Sarveshwara Bhaktas, but if they have not become the devotee of the Supreme Lord, Tam Vidyat Purushadhamam, then he should be understand that he is the most Adham Purusha. He is the lowest of all mankind because he has not become a devotee of the Supreme. Because once if somebody becomes a devotee, then all the good qualities, yasyati bhaktir bhakti, bhagavati akinchana, sarvai gunais tatra samasta sura. All the good qualities of the demigods are there in the heart of a devotee, those who have unflinching faith in the devotional service. One may be very well versed in the transcendental literature of the Vedas, but if one fails to be acquainted with the Supreme, then it must be concluded that all this education is a burden of beast. Shamas tasya shama palo, hi dhenuna eva rakshata. So Shabda Brahmani Nishnato. This is a very beautiful verse. It says, Shabda Brahmani. Shabda Brahmani refers to the Vedic literature. If somebody is Nishnata, means very expert, he has done a complete study of those Vedic literature. But Nanishyat Parayadi, but still his mind is not absorbed in the Supreme Lord. Though he has studied all the Vedic literatures, he is very expert. But still, if his mind is not absorbed, then shamastasya shama phalo. Then one should understand that all his endeavor of understanding the Vedic scriptures is like a useless labor. It is shamatasya shama phalo. It is a useless labor, just like he adhenum eva rakshata. Just like person who is protecting a cow and that taking care of that cow, but the cow doesn't give a milk. Adhenu. Adhenu means the cow that doesn't give milk. So it is just like a burden, keeping cow without milking capacity. So what is the use of such education? What is the use of such endeavor if you have not understood the essence? Vedascha sarvar ahameva Veda. Krishna says, to understand Vedas means to know me. If you have forgotten that real essence, then what is the use? The lowest of human beings can be elevated to the highest stage of devotional service. But if they are trained by the bona fide spiritual master who are well versed in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, if the lowest star can be so elevated, then what to talk about the highest? So then Prabhupada quotes that Kita Pakshi Mriganam Cha Haro Sanyasa Cheshita Murdhvam Yadgata Manne Kim Punarjani Namila. That even the worms, birds, bees, they are assured of elevation to the highest perfection life if they are completely surrendered to the loving transcendental service of the Lord. And if Kita Pakshi Mriga can do, then what to talk about we human beings who have so developed consciousness. And therefore, there is no need to seek properly qualified candidates for discharging devotional service. Let them be either well behaved or ill trained. Let them be either learned or fools. Let them be either grossly attached or in an ounce order of life. Let them be liberated souls. Let them be expert in the discharge of devotional service or expert in the same. All of them can be elevated to the supreme position only by discharging devotional service under the guidance of a proper bona fide spiritual master. Then he quotes from this Bhagavad Gita also that apichet suduracharo bhajate mamananyavad. Even if somebody is doing some abominable activities but still engage in Krishna service, is devotional service, then he says sadhureva samantavam. Consider him as saintly. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim agacchati kauntaya pratijani name bhakta pranashyati. Very quickly, he will be relieved from all the reactions of his abominable activities, provided he is on the path and he has not taken any detour. He is still considered the saintly, and Krishna says, I will be the one who will be protecting him. Kauntaya pratijani name bhakta pranashyati. And then he quotes the next verse, Mami partha viprashyata, yepi pap, yepi ye apishu papa yonana. Striyo Vaishyas Tatha Shudras, Ye Pe Yanti Paramagata. Even if somebody is most sinful, even if somebody is born as a woman body or a less intelligent or dull mercantile man or even as a lower, but still they can attain the highest perfection of life by taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet in earnestness. And this sincere earnestness is the only qualification. Laulyam, right? Srila Rupa Goswami says, laulyam, the greed to know and to do service, to perform certain devotional service to the Lord. This is the only qualification that is needed. And this laulyam is sincere earnest. Until and unless such earnest is aroused, there is a difference between cleanliness and uncleanliness. There is difference between learning and non-learning. Fire is always fire. And thus, if somebody touches the fire knowingly or unknowingly, the fire will act on that way without discrimination. Prabhupada gives the example of a child. Child doesn't know that fire will burn. But if the child puts its hand in the fire, still the fire will act without any discrimination. So this principle is Harir Harati Papani Dushta Chittar Apismita. The all-powerful Lord can purify the devotee of all sinful reactions. So you may be the most of Adama, but if we approach the Supreme Lord, He will purify us. Mukshashami ma shucha, He says, that I will take care of all your sinful reactions. Do not fear. How? Just like the sun. Again, the example is given. Just like the sun can sterilize all sorts of infections by his powerful rays, attraction for material enjoyment cannot act upon a pure devotee of the Lord. So, how the Supreme Lord's devotion works? Just like the sun. If there is a urine at some place, the sun absorbs even that urine. So, first he absorbs, makes the place clean, sterilize by its own powerful rays, sterilize that place. And third thing that happens is that the sun is not affected. The urine doesn't get attached to the sun. Sun is still aloof, is equally pure. So when we surrender unto the Supreme Lord, our with devotion, our reactions of sinful actions are taken care of. Our devotion to the Supreme Lord increases, and the Supreme Lord makes us purify, but still, He Himself doesn't get contaminated by taking all our sinful reactions. He is just like the sun who is aloof. Atmaramas chamune, and this is even the realized soul are also attracted by the loving transcendental devotional service of the Lord. Atmaramas chamune, because Nirgrantha Pirukrame. What is that verse? Atmaramas Chamunaya Nirgrantha Pirukrame Kurvanti Ahitukum Bhakti Ittham Bhuto Gudohari. That even those Atmaramas, they are also performing that Ahituki Bhakti. And that Ahituki Bhakti is what leads. They are Kevala Bhakta Vasudeva Parayana. Simply by hearing and chanting, one becomes a great devotee. A person who does not move from the lotus feet, even for a moment or a second, is considered to be the greatest of all Vaishnavas. You know, what is that symptom of Bhava Bhakti? Avyartha kalatvam, Shantir avyartha kalatvam. Not even for a moment one is moved from the lotus, doesn't waste its time in all those activities which are not aligned to the Supreme Lord. Avyartha kalat. The pure devotee are convinced for attaining the association of the Supreme Lord, and thus they are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So everywhere where it means the Lord can be served by all senses or simply by the mind. So if somebody says, because Jiva Goswami wants to comment on Sarvatra Sarvada, now, someone can say, well, how can I carry out these activities of devotional service when the environment is not conducive? I'm somewhere outside. With my limbs, how can I carry out this process of devotional service? How can I feed the Lord, dress the Lord, or how I can serve the Lord, do arati, pay obeisances? How can I do that? So in that answer to Sarvatra Sarvada, Prabhupada is quoting that even Manas Puja is allowed. Therefore, this bhakti is suitable in all circumstances, in all time, place. Sarvatra Sarvada. Right? So in this regard, Prabhupada quotes about the South Indian Brahmana. This South Indian Brahmana who wants to serve the Lord on the strength of his mind. He didn't have enough arrangement where he can cook for the Lord or feed with the Lord, for feed the Lord. So what he did, that in his mind he prepared that sweet rice for the Supreme Lord. He arranged for the big vessel, the cooking pot. He arranged for that stove. He arranged for that milk, high class milk with full of cream. He arranged for the rice. He boiled it nicely, washed it, boiled it nicely, and then he stirred that pot with the kheer, the milk with along with the rice. He added the apt amount of sugar. But all this, where he was doing? In his mind, he was doing. And he was so much absorbed that when it came, when the entire that kheer was made, that sweet rice was made, before offering, he wanted to check whether it is too hot for the Supreme Lord to offer. Because we don't offer hot things, very hot things to the Supreme Lord. We don't want his hands to be burned. Though Krishna is Angani Sakala Manti, he can eat from his eyes also, but that's not the mood of a devotee. The devotee thinks that the Supreme Lord, he makes him sit on an asana and he calls and he says, now you can please honor this bhoga that I have very lovingly and devotionally I have made for you. You please honor this. That is the mood of a devotee. And therefore, we don't offer too hot things to the Supreme Lord. We don't want his hands to be burned. Right? So, this Brahmana also wants to test, but as soon as he dips his finger just to test whether it is too hot, he broke his meditation was broken. And he saw that actually his finger was burnt. Though there was nothing, he was simply meditating. But in his meditation, he was so absorbed that in his meditation, when he touched that kheer, that sweet rice, it was so hot that physically, in his external consciousness, also he could feel that his finger is burnt. His meditation broke, and his finger was burnt. So, sarvatra sarvada. It all time, place, and circumstances when can perform this bhakti. This will be explained further in the purport, Prabhupada says. We'll come to that point. But here the point is that the Supreme Lord doesn't want something elaborate. Patram pushpam phalam toyam, whatever, with love and devotion, if we offer, the Supreme Lord accepts it. Now, well, someone can say, I'm not on that pure devotional level. Then also Bhagavad Gita doesn't dishearten that person. And Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Yat karoshi yadashnashi, yat juhoshi dadasi tat, yat tapasyasi kauntaya, tad kurushvad madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, even if you are eating pizza, offer it to me. You are doing any sacrifice, do it for me. You are giving in charity, do it for me. Whatever business you do it for me. So he is the complete whole. And then he may eat as offered by the Lord. Okay, this is very nice. Yeah, Prabhupada says that whatever you eat, you may offer the same to the Lord and be rest assured that he will return the food after eating it himself. He is the complete whole. And therefore, whatever he eats as offered by the devotee is accepted because of the devotee's love. But again, it is returned as prasad for the devotee so that devotee can be happy by eating. So we know about Mukunda Datta pastime, that how he has a son, Raghunandan Thakur, where he told that you should offer every day. I am offering, but I have to go for some business deal. I have to go outside the village. Now it's your duty, O Raghunandan. He was a small boy, that you have to offer now to the Supreme Lord. Our Gopinath is there. So every day, has taken the instruction from his father. Next day, Raghunandan, he took his mother, prepared the bhoga, and he told the Lord to eat. Of course, he rang the bell, he performed all the duty that his father told, and he said, now you eat. Oh, Gopinath, you should eat. And then he opened the curtain. Plate was as it is. And he said, no, Gopinath, you have not eaten. My father will scold me. You have to eat. You have to finish the plate. Long story short, seeing the devotion of Raghunandan Thakur, the Lord himself came and he ate that offering. Now, this is a devotion of Raghunandan Thakur. Not everybody was on that level. Finally, his father came and he asked that, where is the prasadam? He said, what prasadam? Your Gopinath ate everything. And next day again, he told the same thing to Raghunandan Thakur, that I have to go out and you have to serve. But behind the wall, he was watching that what's happening. And he saw that the Supreme Lord himself came and grabbed that laddu and he was eating that laddu. And as soon as he ate half of the laddu, Mukunda appeared and the Lord disappeared. And still that, Murati or that form, that Archa Vigraha form of the Supreme Lord, half-eaten laddu in his hand, it's still there. But the point here is that he is Raghunandan Thakur. No, not everybody can be on that same level. So whatever we are offering with love and devotion, especially in this age of Kali, and we offering it with our full contaminated senses, is the Lord honoring it? Because it is said that he may eat as offered by the devotee and accepted, just he will return the food after eating. So maybe, when we offer food to the Lord and then we close the curtain, and then after a few minutes, we open the curtain, the plate is as it is. So now it's just a matter of faith that we have. That yes, my Krishna has honored this bhoga that I have offered, and now he has returned me as prasad. But an atheist will not be able to understand that how your Lord can eat through eyes. How do you know that the Lord has really eaten? So actually, when we offer, it's not that, of course, that's the faith that we have that Lord has honored that bhoga. But at the same time, our understanding should be that what is exchanged between me and the Lord is the love and devotion. The Lord has accepted my love and devotion with which I have prepared that bhoga. And therefore, now this is prasad because Krishna has touched it. Krishna has accepted it. So in this regard, let's try to understand through a normal story. Mother, especially during Diwali times or some occasional times, we exchange sweets with our neighbors, with our friends, with our relatives. Similar was the case. Imagine you being a third person and witnessing what is happening. That a third person, you are seeing that there is one family, and in that family, the lady has cooked some laddus, packed in the steel box, gave to his son that please go and deliver this to a particular aunt in the neighbor and wish him about this festival, whatever that festival may be, like Diwali, Holi, or whatever. And you wish him and you deliver these sweets to that lady, that aunt in the neighbor who is staying in the neighborhood. And the boy does the same. He goes, he delivers, and we being a third person is seeing all this. And then we see that the boy has come out with the same steel box that his mother has packed. And that steel box also have some laddus. The boy comes home, gives to the mom. The mom takes that laddu and empty that steel box. Now, as a third person, we saw that laddus were taken from one house to another, and then the boy is taking from that house to his own house. Now, what is exchanged? Maybe that lady has cooked the same laddus. The same laddus were transported back because, as a return gift, she said that don't take this tiffin box that you have brought empty, don't go empty handed. Laddus I have also prepared. I'm packing those laddus in this box. You give it to your mom. So, what has been exchanged? As a third person, we saw that the tiffin box was delivered, or was it really delivered, or that boy has not delivered and brought it as it is. But we know that he has delivered. So, what was exchanged between the two families? It's only the love that was exchanged. It was only the love. So, similarly, when we offer anything to the Supreme Lord, any bhoga, it's the love that is being reciprocated by the Lord. Looks like the plate is as it is, but it is not as it is. That matter has now become spiritualized by the touch of the Supreme Lord. It's no more a bhoga, it has become prasad. It has been touched by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Right? So, this is how we have to understand. Then Prabhupada quotes from the Skanda Puran. This is all we are talking about, Sarvatra Sarvada. That how this sadhana bhakti can be performed in all circumstances and all place time. Means you cannot give any excuses because Krishna is ready to accept anything. Whatever you do, you just offer it to Krishna. In the Skand Puran also he says, I offer my obeisances unto you. Yasya smritya nanamokta tapavta kriyadishu. Whatever, by remembering him, vibrating his holy name, one can attain perfection of all penances, sacrifice, or fruitive activities. And this process can be universally followed. Akama sarva tivre bhakti yogena. Just doing this tivra bhakti unto the Supreme Lord, all desires, whether we have some desires, we don't have some desires, we have the desire for liberation, everything is fulfilled by the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada quotes many verses in this, how, like here he says that actually in Bhakti Yoga, what is Bhakti Yoga for Kali Yuga? Then Prabhupada quotes is Kriyate yadhayato Vishnu tretam yajato makhe dwapare paricharyam kalo tadhari kirtana. That in Krita refers to Satya Yoga. In Satya Yoga, it is by remembrance, by meditation, one becomes self-realized. Because the point was that you have to become self-realized. That is the perfection of the human life that we have got. So to attain that perfection, one has to become self-realized. So the medium of self-realized in Krita Yoga, in Satya Yoga was Dhyayate Vishnu, meditation. In Treta Yoga was performing some sacrifice. In Dwapar Yoga was to do some deity worship, Paricharyaya. And in Kali Yoga, it is to do Kirtanat. Hari Kirtanat is to chant the Krishna's holy name. So one should always, whatever possible, for any, whether it's a moment, even for a moment's remembrance. Sa hanis tan mahachidram sa moha sa vibrama yan mahuratam shanamapi. Even if ardha mahurat or mahurat, or even for a moment, if somebody is remembering the Supreme Lord, then he is relieved from that greatest illusion. If somebody is remembering Vasudevam na chintayat, if one is not remembering the Supreme Lord, then one's life is waste. But even if for a moment, if somebody is remembering the Supreme Lord, the life is fulfilled. Now, this is very important, that sarvatra sarvada, at any position one may be in. Very beautiful. Prabhupada writes, the Lord can be worshipped in all stages of life. I don't know the Sanskrit words, but this Prabhupada, whatever is writing in this paragraph, actually there is a Sanskrit verse also from one of the Puranas. I don't remember that. But here Prabhupada is saying that the Lord can be worshipped in all stages of life. Sarvatra sarvada. He's continuing this. That somebody can say, well, I'm just a small child, or I have not even taken birth, or I am at my deathbed, or I am in my old age. Prabhupada is giving the example. They're quoting the Shastras, that how the Lord can be worshipped in all stages of life. Even in the womb of their mother, Parikshit Maharaj, Maharaj Prahlad and Maharaj Parikshit, they worshipped the Lord. Even in the womb, they were enlightened. If somebody says, well, I'm just a 5-year-old child, so what? Dhruva Maharaj worshipped as a 5-year-old child, and within 6 months, he saw the Lord face to face. Within 6 months. Now, even in full youth, well, I'm in my prime youth. I have so many responsibilities to take care. Maharaj Ambarish, imagine being a king, so many responsibilities he had. Still, he worshipped at the Lord. Well, I'm at my deathbed. I'm in my last stage. I'm in frustration. Maharaj Dhritarashtra worshipped the Lord. I'm on my deathbed, actually at the point of death. So what? Ajamil did it, chanted the name of Narayan. Chitraketu worshipped the Lord, even in heaven and in hell. So, at any point, in all circumstances, we can perform this sadhana bhakti, this bhakti, and one can achieve the Supreme Lord. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, of the inhabitants of hell become released from this hellish persecution. And then he quotes, Prabhupada, he quotes this famous verse also. Eta nirvidyamananam ichchatam akuto bhayam yogina nripanirnitam hare nanam kirtanam. Eta nirvidyamananam, those who are completely free from all kinds of material desires. Ichchatam, those who are desirous of some sort of material enjoyment. Akuto bhayam, those are free from all doubts and fear. Yoginam, those who are very yogis, great yogis, self-satisfied. O Parikshit Maharaj, Nipa, Nirnitam, this is the truth. What is that truth? Harer Namanu Kirtanam. That please chant the holy name. One should always chant the holy name of the Supreme God. So that's how it's been explained. O King, it is finally decided that everyone, namely those who on the renounced order of life, mystics, and joys of fruitive work, should chant the holy name of the Lord fearlessly to achieve the desired success. Now, Prabhupada is quoting from the revealed scriptures. Even though one is well versed, but if not a devotee of the Lord, he is considered to be the lowest of mankind. Prabhupada is basically summarizing his whole purport. Garud Puran, the same is repeated. What is the use of Vedic knowledge and penances for one who is devoid of devotional service? What is the comparison of thousands of Prajapatis to one devotee of the Lord? Sukhdev Goswami was neither, and said, neither the ascetic, nor those who are greatly munificent, nor one who is famous, those who are philosophers, can realize, achieve the desired result without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Even if a place is more glorious than heaven, if there is no glorification of the Lord of Vaikuntha, or his pure devotee, it should at once be quitted. One should not stay there if there is no glorification of the Lord. The pure devotee refuses to accept even all kind of liberation, but only wants to be engaged in the service of the Lord. So the final conclusion, therefore, is that the glories of the Lord must always and everywhere be proclaimed. Sarvatra sarvana. One should perform this bhakti yoga as far as possible. As a fruitive worker, as a yogi, as a mystic power, as an empiric philosopher, you know, even if we have a desire for salvation, all the perfection of all the systems of yoga can be perfected when one chants the holy name of the Lord, when one performs devotional service. A Jnani yogi leaves everything, this material world, and wants Brahman. That's the goal of a Jnana yogi. But how will he achieve that Brahman? That Brahman he can achieve only when he has a tinge of bhakti in it. Without bhakti, even going to Brahman is not possible, because that Brahman is also a spiritual world. Right? The cream of Srimad Bhagavatam in the foregoing four shlokas is sometimes squeezed out by the impersonalist with some different interpretation. Therefore, it should be clearly noted that the four shlokas were first described by the Supreme Lord. Thus, the impersonalist has no scope to enter into them because he has no conception of the personality of the God. If they cannot understand the personal form of the Lord, they have no adhikar, no audacity that they can comment on these chaturshloki Bhagavata. They can only do it if one has full faith on the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. Impersonalists may squeeze out any interpretation, but such interpretation will not be accepted. Shruti mantra says, Nayam Atma Pravechana Labhyo Na Medhya Na Bahuda Shrutena Yam Evasya Vishnute Tena Labhyas Tasaiva Atma Vivrunate Tanum Swayam. Nayam Atma means Atma here refers to the Supreme Lord. That if somebody is not understanding the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Self, then pravechena labhya, he will not obtain the knowledge of the Supreme Lord by his eloquent preaching, his pravachan dene se. Na medhya, neither by his intellectual power. Na bahuda shrutena, neither by extensive spiritual hearing, shrutena, neither by that. They will not achieve the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Yam evasya, but indeed, if they chooses vrunote, then they will attain, tena labhyas, they will attain. Rather, it says, Yam evasya vishnute tena labhyas. Actually, it is the Supreme Lord who chooses such a person, because that person has performed certain sadhana bhakti. But indeed, Yam evasya vrinute tena labhyas, the Supreme Lord, he will attain that supreme knowledge if the Supreme Lord chooses him. Because when the Supreme Lord chooses a particular jiva, then tasaiva atma virtate tanum swayam. Then to that person, the Supreme Lord, Atma here again refers to the Supreme Lord, he reveals, he manifests his own form to that person. So the whole matter is explained by the Lord himself. And one who has no approach to the Lord in his personal feature can rarely understand the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam without being taught by the Bhagavatas in the disciplic succession. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yastasmi tatvata tato mam tatvano jnanam vishnate tad antaram. We can understand the Supreme Lord only by the process of devotional service. And when one is into that full consciousness, then one can enter the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Shotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Chetabhya. Srila Sukadev Goswami says, therefore, O Bharata, O descendant of that Bharata dynasty, O Maharaj Parikshit, Bhagavan Ishvaroham. One should always engage in the activities which are related to Bhagavan Hari, to the Supreme Lord. And what are those activities? Shotavya, hearing about him, kirtitavyas, glorifying him, smartavyas, remembering him. Then you will be delivered from all kind of fears. There will be no fears, and one can attain the highest perfection of life. So this is the entire verse. Sorry, I just skimmed through that verses, but at the same time, I made it a point that I don't miss anything. But the point here is that the essence of this verse is that one should perform sadhana bhakti. And it is only through the process of sadhana bhakti that one can be free from all kind of false ego. They will be still doing the activities. Definitely, they'll be still doing the activities. But now those activities they will not do with the consideration that I am the doer. They will do it as an instrument to serve the Supreme One. And that is what is sadhana bhakti. So Krishna is telling Brahma, oh Brahma, you want to get rid of false ego, you want to carry out my instruction, then do this process of sadhana bhakti. Through this process of sadhana bhakti, you can achieve whatever you want to. And that sadhana bhakti has to be performed under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Thank you all so much. Okay. Yes, Sodamani Sundari Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanyavad Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji. It is purport. Is this the longest purport in Bhagavatam, Mataji?
Not the longest, I'll say, because Prabhupada has written around 25 pages of purport to the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh yeah, Janmadasya.
Janmadasya. But yes, this is also very long.
I had one thing to share, Mataji, and one doubt also I had.
Tell me.
So the sharing thing is that when we were discussing that to each and every verse translation and purport, Prabhupada is pointing out bhakti. So I was remembering that in one class, His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji was mentioning that there are three categories of servants. The first class servant, he not only obeys the instructions of his master, but also he understands the mood. Like he sometimes does beyond his order also. So I was trying to relate that the Prabhupada is like that. Whatever Krishna is telling, he is going beyond that and finding out bhakti in that verse also.
Very nice. Like again, I think so Gauranga Prabhu only he gave that example, or maybe I heard from somewhere that if your spiritual master has asked for a notebook, then a perfect disciple is that he will bring pen also along with it. Understanding that what my master will do with the notebook, I should take the pen. Before him asking for the pen, I should go beyond one step and bring pen also. That's how. Very nice.
Mentioned this, in class. He also gave the example of someone asking for a glass of water. Along with the glass of water, he brings a bottle also in case he needs some more.
Very nice. Yeah, very true. Maybe he needs some more. That's the perfect disciple.
And another doubt, Mataji, this shloka is completely Krishna is telling about our sadhana bhakti, abhidya. So, and vidhi nishad, like in the beginning only you mentioned that indirect and direct rules and regulations. So I was just wondering, Mataji, because pure devotees also relish Srimad Bhagavatam. We see how Srimad Mahaprabhu is also relishing Bhagavatam. So how do they take this abhidya part when it comes to pure devotees? Because for them, vidhi nishad, they are above all this vidhi nishad.
Yeah, very nice. They are above about all this vidhi and nishad. Very true. But still, the pure devotees, to be exemplary in this world, they will perform this sadhana bhakti. Though with their internal consciousness, they are beyond this. But at the same time, because they are in this world, they have to be exemplary. They have to lead by examples. Yad yad acharatri shreshthas. Krishna also says that I am beyond all rules and regulations, but still now I am in this material world. I'll perform all those rules and regulations, because being a leader, if I don't do it, then others will not follow, and then they will be deluded. So the pure devotees in their internal consciousness may be beyond all this vidhi and nisheth, rules and regulations, but if they are in this material world, then they will definitely be following these rules and regulations to be exemplary, to lead the world by their examples. And we have seen all the devotees, even Mahaprabhu, he came as a devotee, he was Krishna himself, but he also followed all the rules and regulations that are needed. When he was as a householder, when he was as a sannyasi, when he accepted that sannyas ashram, he was following everything. But he was not bound by those rules and regulations, but to show by examples so that devotees can take him as a exemplary point and follow his, do his anusaran, follow his footsteps. The Mahaprabhu also followed all this. Externally, they can be away. Internally, they can rise up of all their vidhi and nisheth, but being in this mortal world, they have to follow.
Yeah, that's why Mahaprabhu is reaching 7th canto also, not only 10th canto.
7th canto and the 4th canto. You are studying Dhruva Charitra and Prahlad Charitra. You're hearing every day from Gadadhar Pandit and Tota Gopinath Temple. Every day.
Yes, ma'am. And because 7th canto, so much about Varnashram and all those things.
Yes.
But Mahaprabhu is reaching. Okay, ma'am. To be exemplary, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, devotees, I didn't let you take turns in reading because it was a really long purport. And everybody would have taken chance to read every paragraph. I think so we would have not been able to finish. So I just skimmed through all the purport on my own. Maybe the session was very boring for you, but trust me, if you read the purport on your own as a homework, you'll relish it. And this is actually the Abhidheya process. This is the devotional service. This is the sadhana bhakti that we have to perform. And there's so many examples Prabhupada is quoting from various shastras, from various Puranas, that sadhana bhakti is the ultimate way by which we can approach the Supreme Lord. And sadhana bhakti doesn't only involve Vaidhi bhakti, but it also involves the raga nuga sadhana bhakti, having that rag, that attachment, and following those who have that rag and following that raga nuga bhakti also comes under sadhana bhakti.
Mataji, nectars can never be boring, Mataji. You allow the hearing itself was nectarian, and that is sufficient. There's no word called boring when we come to the classes, Bhagavatam classes or Chaitanya Charitamrita video, Mataji. Hare Krishna. It's like for me personally, I wish you keep talking, which is not possible, and hearing more, but things are more compelling for every one of us. So we have to leave the class is the only most, and the next work is most boring, Mataji, actually.
Yeah.
Hare
Thank you, Matiko. That's your
Krishna, Mataji.
magnanimity.
No, Mataji, I'm just telling what is really coming in my mind. We were so stunned with the continuous hearing was so good. I don't know how to tell. So it's like we were in some world and we dropped down from there. It was the feeling I had. But thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Bhagavatam. Glories to Srila Prabhupada for writing such beautiful purports so that even a layman can understand the message that Prabhupada wants to deliver. So much hard work he did by giving so extensive purports. And these are his outpours. Prabhupada always writes, these purports are my spiritual ecstasies. This is the outpour of his love, of his self-realization that he wants to reveal to all of us. So glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, dear devotees, then we can stop here. Thank you once again for your association. And this Thursday, probably, there are only 6-7 verses more that Preeti Vilasni Mataji will try to cover. And with that, we can end that chapter. And then one more chapter to go. chapter 10, and then we'll end this module. So please be prepared. Yes, studying Bhagavatam is on one level, which is highest, but on the other level, we are the students of Bhakti Vaibhav. So let's start working on our shloka recitation and our open book exams and our question bank. Then, we can be ready for our final exam after this second canto. So that we'll end the third module with it. Okay, so thank you so much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, all the assembled Vaishnavas ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.